All right, Dennis, when you're ready. 1, 2. New subscriber. Yo, you know I just went over 1,000, man, in 3 months. So I'm doing well. There's a barbecue coming up, and you're my guest.
Thank you, bro.
Peace, Dennis. I'm out. Thank you, man.
Peace, bro.
Another cool ass driver in Nairobi, Kenya.
Just dancing in a single ray of sun. I'm watching the world wake up. So
Someone told me that I'm having way too much fun. What up, folks? It's RonRaph coming to you once again from one of my favorite places in the entire world, and that's right here in Kenya, 16 floors up. And I have just found out, hold on, before I get a strike, always have this stuff going. Just found out that I am not in Kilimani. Can you believe it? I am in Lavington. Excuse the newcomer to Kenya for doing this to you. Much love for Kilimani, but the place where I reside, maybe it was best to do that. I don't know. Throw you off so you can't pinpoint me or find me readily. If you are up to something unscrupulous, it would be hard to find me well, anyway. I've been told that I've been having way too much fun, as if moving halfway around the world to a new place, to follow your vision, to help others, to bring all your talents and skills would not include fun, especially in a place like Kenya. Come on now. Nairobi, where we party, I say, non-stop. And it's not like a hellish race down a hill moving at, a crazy pace. It is cultural. You know what I mean? Kenyans party culturally. Very much like the diaspora, the Caribbean portion of it especially. And where I'm from, Trinidad, we party from the cradle to the grave, literally. And if you're a Trinidadian or if you know any of them, you know what I'm talking about. We have the biggest carnival in the world, and some say the most illustrious, and I would agree because I've seen them all and I've seen mine up close. And the first time I saw it, I was in awe. But enough of the fun conversation and talk. Really quickly, I know who you are. You are Al Payne. Thank you for watching. You are Hassan Tariq Buds. I see you. And these two people, the reason why I point them out is because, first of all, let me say this. They're dreamers, people that fabricate in their minds possibly a way to get away from reality, the one that they do not want to be involved in. And then there are visionaries. Visionaries are doers, people that take their dreams, turn them into something that has value, not just for themselves, but for others, and attempt to share it with the rest of the world in some way or another. A visionary. And then there are crooks. And the reason why I'm saying this, crooks prey on the dreamers primarily, and sometimes they get a hold of visionaries and they get them too. The reason why I'm saying this is because recently we ran into a situation where in our group, our community, the people that have worked all their lives to make something of themselves and bring themselves here, they were taken advantage of. And I want to say something really quickly. And I did know that this needed to be said because I just take it for granted that the primary setting for anyone, the baseline would be some sort of moral grounding. But it is not the case. So, in our interaction, I hope you have realized one thing, if nothing else, is that I'm not that. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not that. I've spent a lifelong time in entertainment, communication, sales, education, working my butt off to become who I am. One of the reasons I make it look easy. Enough about me, but what I want to say ultimately is this. The things you see in here are a representation of that work. This thing that you see behind me over here, I didn't think it was the most aesthetic thing to put on my set. That's why it's there. No, that's a hair dryer. I've been a hairstylist in Los Angeles for many, many, many years. And painstakingly, I had to learn from scratch. Not a man who was ever into hair when I got into this. I fell into it on the way to becoming a barber. I ended up in hair school and I became a hairstylist, which means I had to start from that point moving forward without having an aspiration of being a stylist. But I learned to love this industry so much and how lucrative it could be, right? And other things that I've done in my life. I've been a salesman. I hold a life insurance license. It's expired now, so if you go look and you see it not active, but you'll find my name in the state of California as have been registered as a life insurance agent, and I've done financial services. I've collected hundreds and hundreds of social security numbers. Never have I thought once to do anything with it, but to archive it for the purposes of keeping information for my clients and then burning it after a certain period of time, which I did before I came here, burned all the private records for people that I had. So that's just one example. Two, I have had a friend, didn't know at the time. I'm at someone's house and I'm walking in the gate of the place and I see a wad on the ground, a wad of money. I'm talking about a bankroll. I pick the money up. I don't count it. And I take that money and I put it in my pocket. The reason why is because I didn't know who it belonged to and I had to do somewhat of an investigation. So I sat at the table with my partners, we playing dominoes, and I said, man, is anybody missing something? And after a while, they was wondering, like, what am I talking about? And you could see people starting to catch on, and one of the gentlemen at the table started checking his pockets. And he's going, yeah, I lost something. And I said, maybe you can describe it to me. Guess what he described? That wad of money. I pulled the money out of my pocket and I handed it to him. Never counted it. And guess what he said when I gave it to him? He was the host of this place. He lived there. This was his house. He said to me, I don't think, later on in confidence, that anyone else in that room would have given that money back. That's example 2, right? And so what you find here is someone that has put in a lot of work, and one of the most important things is my integrity, my name, who I am and what I represent. Not only do I have a life insurance license, I have a cosmetology license. I've worn a gun on my hip maybe for over 5 years as a security professional and supervisor in Los Angeles, which means I have a license not only as a security guard, I've also held a license for carrying a weapon. They don't give those things away to crooks. Enough about that. This is really about telling you how skilled I am and what it means to work your entire life to be of value to yourself and others around you. And that's what I bring with me here to Kenya. And so before we're done today, many have asked me, hey, people will stop me and say, man, how have you done what you've done in such a short period of time here? Those people are now becoming clients of mine. One of them a sponsor. 2 of them actually a sponsor for my channel and my upcoming barbecue, which I want you to be at. If you are within range or in Nairobi or planning to come, and you will be here on the 28th, Plan to come to the barbecue at Under the Radar, where all my sponsors I just spoke about or mentioned will be bigged up and loved just like you, and we will move our brands together. You see how I pull all of my talents together, right? Sales, marketing, loving people, caring about others. My 30-day plan of how I reached here is a result of that. That's why you're here. And I get it. This is number 2 in this series of a few things that I had to do. More than a few things, I'm kind of generalizing here, that I had to do to come here after deciding in August of 2025, the beginning, and leaving in September of 2025, literally 1 month apart. Last time we spoke about, and I'm going to pull this up really quickly. Hopefully I'm not distracting you and I'm able to keep your attention while I'm reaching down for this document and operational that I should have had prepared. So I very much am guilty for not being. And here it is. Strategic brand affiliation. No, it's not that. And it is how I moved in 30 days and the plan that I came up with, an executive plan for those who intend to move. Now, moving doesn't mean you're going to do it the way I did it. But everything I did in that 30-day period, some will do in a 3-month period, 1-month period, and so on and so forth. So as I said before, they are dreamers, people that think about things. They are visionaries that bring them to life and offer it to the world. But watch out for the crooks, okay? And if you want a safe place to land and a safe place to have conversations about this, I'm sure you figured it out right now. And this is the reason why I told you all that you can talk to me. You don't have to do it alone like I did. And what I'll also be offering you is an opportunity to download. So you can download, there's 3 ways you can do this. You can just watch me here, which is fine. You know what I mean? I appreciate you 1,000,000%. You can download for a nominal fee the 30-day PDF that I've made possible at RonRaphael.com. Or you can hire me to help you. And the reason why I'm mentioning money is because, as we all well know, that anything worth having is not free. If it's free, you got to worry about it. Now, even in this conversation, it's not free, even though you just clicked it and you're watching, but you're sharing something very valuable. You're sharing your time. There's one commodity that cannot be given back. So I appreciate you. And if you do need to reach out to me, I told you before, I'm easy to reach, RonRaphael.com. RonRaph at Gmail. And for those who are willing to take the next step forward, you will be provided with my direct contact so we can communicate by text, WhatsApp, however it may be, so we can get what you need from me, so you can fulfill your vision in whatever it might be, right? And I've helped others in so many ways. It's just how I am. But anyhow, in essence, I enjoy watching people succeed, and I'm able to translate and communicate information that is entertaining and valuable at the same time. Okay? So, here we go again. We'll talk about how I got here in 30 days. The first thing we discussed was day 1 through 3, which is decision and comment. And if you missed the rundown on the day breakdown of how I did this, now, not everything being done in this way, but structured so it can be replicated is what you have here with me, right? So in the first day, 1 through 3, and if you want to hear about the full breakdown, just go back to the previous episode. It's the last one I did, and I talk about all the days, the segmented day periods, and what I prescribe and when they fall in, even though they all mix around once you get going. You'll get the breakdown of that. So you get the value of this without actually, other than paying with your time and viewership, without actually having to download or pay for anything. All right? So day 1 through 3 was decision and commitment. And briefly, it was about who I am and why am I moving, right? Why am I moving and not later? And I told you before, I lacked something very important. I lacked you. I lacked my community. I need people. I just desperately do. I need to interact with folks. I love people. I like poking them. I like getting responses from them. I like making people smile just by saying hello in the morning by walking by. And so I needed that, and it was missing from where I was. A complete catastrophe of a life in some respects, interpersonally, based on a number of things that I left behind. And I brought this perspective and this new approach to creating a new life here with me. That was one of the reasons I left. Wanted to share that with you. But the section that we are on today is immigration and the legal fast track. I call it the legal fast track for me because I had to do it in 30 days somehow, some way. But for you, it does not have to be a fast track. The only fast track portion of it is how I give you this information. It could have taken you a longer time to do it, but I'm fast tracking this information straight to you. And I'm going to retrieve it from the horse's mouth, all right? And I'm talking specifically about Kenya because that's where I came. Never been to this continent, never been to this country, ever previously. So I'm talking about Kenya because this is where I chose. Each country is going to be different. They have their own set of rules. And respectfully, I state that. And we all should follow whoever country we go to. They're the boss. You know what I mean? It's just like walking in through this door behind me. This is my spot. I'm the boss here. And when I do the same with you, you get that type of respect. And I did that here. All right? So the first thing I would say, overall, above all, respect the people and the place where you're going, whether we're coming to Africa or Africans coming outside and into the diaspora, because it happens both ways. You know what I mean? People complain and they say, Americans come here and they act this way or that way. Guess what Africans do that are affluent when they leave here and they go places and they've listened to their entire lives everything negative about Americans, black Americans. They do the same thing. They show up arrogant, they treat us a certain way. Mind you, that's aside. Let's get back to why we're here today. So it's the 4 to 7, and it should be as immediate as that for your immigration considerations. Why? Because there's a waiting period. Once you apply, it may take like a week or two, maybe, but most likely 2 to 3 days for your visa to clear. There are two types of visas, so let's start with that. That's for your entry into the country. If you're not planning to stay a very long time, the visa allows for that. There's a 90-day visa, and then there's also a 5-year visa. In both cases, every 30 days, you need to show up and tell immigration, I'm still here in some way or fashion. In my case, with my 5-year visa, is one of the reasons I got caught up going to Mombasa. I didn't realize that. With your 5-year visa, every 3 months, you need to have a stamp that gets you to the next 3 months. So I am due currently to return back to immigration on Monday with an appointment I set already to do just that. A small fee, I guess, whatever the case might be, and then they stamp your passport and you're good for another 3 months. Other than that, it is designed for you to come in and leave. Entry, re-entry, and leaving. That's what and how the system was set up, and that's how Kenya intended for it. It's their rules. So on Monday, I'm going to get up and go down to see my immigration specialist, Christine, afforded to me by a gentleman named Adrian. I love you both. Thank you for helping me after I got back from Mombasa to once again have my passport stamped for the next 3 months. So this leads us to the next question. Okay, what if I want to stay for an elongated period of time without having to do that? And that's what this discussion is all about. So I reached out to my immigration experts and I asked them the same question. What is staying here like? In addition, an attorney, someone that represents me here. What do I need to do? And what I found out after interacting with him is that because of how I do things, I was able to gather all of this information through research and follow along as we talked, and at some point and in some instances, help him. Now, I know you're wondering, why would I help the lawyer? Why? Because the most important thing to me about this gentleman, and his name is David Marungo, is that he's an honest man. And if we have to figure out things together, that's fine, as long as I know he is a man of integrity. So thank you, David, for working with me, and more importantly, for being that man of integrity where I know I can trust. Number one thing. So find someone you can trust. I had to do it too. All right. So anyhow, so it's the immigration fast track, and these are the bullet points on my 30-day. I'm giving it straight to you. The first one is, what is the fastest legal entry option available? That's the visa. Now, actually, it is the visa, but there's another option, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then, what documents are required immediately is the second question we'll talk about today. What extensions or upgrades are possible after arrival, and can I contact locally for legal clarity? Now, for legal clarity, I'm going to make it real simple and easy for you, right? Because I am speaking not from hearsay, I'm speaking from the direct websites from the Republic of Kenya. There is and I'll refer to some of these notes, so I'll be looking down here and there, and that's why I'm doing it, to make sure I give you exactly what you need after my research. It is the EFNS. And then there's also the other website, EFNS, and that's for Kenya. And then there is the other one, which is the FNS, immigration.go.ke for Kenya. Now, we'll start with that one. That is where you get your visa. If you're sitting back and you're going, hey, man, I really like what Ron is saying about Kenya. I think I want to visit. Now, when you book your flight, they'll gladly take your money, any of the airlines that come here through Europe, wherever the case might be, and bam, you have your ticket. Are you set? No, you're not set. What is next in the step? And I had to go through this literally. What I found out next in the step is then applying for your visa. And this is the place where you do it, at this site. Once again, the site is fns.immigration.go.ke. And this is where you apply for it. Really simple. They're going to take you through a number of metrics, and they're going to ask you basically a number of things, which is really cool. The first thing they're going to ask you is, for your flight itinerary, your passport, where you're staying, right? And those three things are the baseline for applying for your visa. Really simple. And by the way, they're going to also want photos, passport photos, along with this application. Really simple, but you got to gather all this and get it to them. Then they process it, and then they give you your visa. You can actually get on the plane, and no one will stop you if you haven't done this. Guess what happens when you get there? You're going to have a fast track to a visa, because the immigration, once you get there, will not let you progress through the steps in the airport to end up on the soil of Kenya. So that is the first thing, and that's just for a casual visitor, 90 days, 5 year, that are planning on going back home and staying, and 5 years for someone that's planning on an elongated stay or have plans of becoming an national of some sort, right? So your 30-day blueprint, the FNS, is the next stop. So after you've had your visa, you go, hey, Kay, I kind of like it here. I might want to stay. The next place you go is the EFNS.com. That stands for the Electronic Foreign National Services for Kenya. And this is where you will either obtain your alien card, your permanent residency, and or combination thereof, your work permit. Now, the alien card is required for all nationals residing in Kenya for more than 90 days to be registered. Assuming you don't have the visa in place and that you haven't worn through before coming, the permanent residency, which takes, no matter what you do, 7 years process, and that also has to go through the work permit process. So there's the alien residency, and let's start with that. It requires all nationals foreign to be registered. What you do is, what is required is an online application, and then it's a Form 50, if you're interested in that, a valid passport, 2 photos, a valid permit or pass. I'm working backwards here because the permit is the work permit, and we'll go over to that in a moment. That's something you get once you get here to stay, or before you come, depending on which work permit that you have. So you'll either show a valid permit or pass, which means you're showing them that you're here, and now you're telling them you're going to be here past the visa time. That's what this alien card is for, right? And then there's renewal needs provides alien card. If lost, you need to go to the police for an abstract, so on and so forth. The exemptions for this alien card is serving member of the armed forces. So if you come here as a military and you are working here in whatever military is accepted here with the Republic of Kenya, you won't need to go through this process. Who also is exempt is public officers, meaning government officials, the spouses and the children of those people, refugees under the Refugee Act of 2006, and then there's those residing in Kenya less than 3 months. You don't need an alien card. Get it? Got it. Alien card is needed if you're living past your visa. Got it? Good. All right? And that means you're telling them you intend to stay an extended period of time. Then there's the permanent residency. Now this happens, as I said, I'm working backwards. This happens after all the other things take place, which will allow you to stay here past 30 days and up until 7 years. And that's where you become eligible for even just applying. It is not automatic in any way. There's trouble to get that thing, and there's connections needed, just like most places, but damn sure in Africa. You want your application on the top, then you may have to add a few hundred shillings. I'm just being facetious, but a lot more for your application to be processed and taken care of. That's just the way they do business, and that's just me being real. Okay? So in the permanent residency situation, there's an application letter. There's a permanent residency form number 23. There's a residency status questionnaire, a valid passport, obviously the pictures. Every time you have to apply for anything, you're going to have to give them pictures. They take these pictures and they do something with it. They create documents for you that become permanent, and these pictures are placed on those documents, and they need 2 of them, right? A police clearance certificate, which means you go down to the police and they do some sort of verification. These things I haven't done yet because I have a 5-year visa and I'm still in the process of having it renewed. So I'm good, even though I still need to go back and apply for my alien card, which I soon shall. Okay? So the next thing is a tax compliance certificate. It shows that you're tax compliant here, and I'm also sure that they will check your background from the place you are coming from. This tells something about you as a person. Not just I pay my taxes, but that they're not letting a piece of crap into their country because this person is tax compliant. People that pay taxes are honorable citizens as far as the government is concerned. Not a moral question, but how you conduct yourself and respect the republic regards to taxes is important. You're also going to have to provide your alien card. Why? Because if you're past here a certain period of time, elongated, you are supposed to have that alien card, remember? Past 30 days. The next thing you're going to need is, if employed, an employer letter. Someone here verifying that I am vouching for this person in some way or another, and a copy of the police clearance and the certificate that comes along with it. That's permanent residency. Now, the tricky part is getting to permanent residency. Okay, you've done alien card past 30 days, right? You're attempting to get to permanent residency, right? How do you get there? How do you bridge the gap between that 30-day and the permanent 7-year residency point where you can apply? What you have to do is apply for a permit, a work permit. And I'm on the site right now, as I tell you, and I'm looking at these options, right? I just left the electronic travel services, the ETA service that you go to for your valid 90-day or 5-year visa, and you fill all of this out and you provide all the information. It took me about, I don't know, maybe an hour to do all of this when I realized I had to do it. And I'm glad I caught it because it was less than 2 weeks or a week and a half when I realized I had to do this before I left. Talk about, on the trapeze without a net. I was doing that, yo. But anyhow, so I figured it out and it came back swiftly and promptly because I was in good standing with my government, my papers, my passport, my citizenship, my taxes being paid. All of that stuff was in order, and Kenya was happy to give me within a 72-hour period or less. It was actually 24 hours, 48 hours, somewhere in there, 36 hours, that I received my visa and was happy, man. I don't know. It was like a gift, unwrapping it and realizing I'm in good standing. I'm so happy to have this. And it didn't prevent me, more importantly, because I didn't do it, it wouldn't have prevented me from getting into the country. So I'm here and I'm happy that I did it. So now when you go over to the work permit scenario, what we're talking about is permits. This is the part that gets people caught up. They're not going to let you just stay here because you got a nice smile, you don't stink. That they could care less about any of that. They're going to let you stay here because you have value to this country. And the work permits states that. Now, there permits that run A through R with maybe one or two of the alphabet missing in there. So it's not complete 1 through A. I think H is missing and I or something like that in this process, if I'm not mistaken. And it takes you A through R of all the options for work permits that will allow you to stay here after your 30-day period to be in Kenya if you're not renewing your 5-year visa, right? Still need an alien card even with your 5-year visa. I've learned that recently. So the first work permit that you can obtain to help you stay here for an elongated period of time to qualify for residency, permanent residency, is A, which is a prospecting and mining work permit. Now, obviously, you're dabbling and swimming in deep waters of the sea with many fathoms if you are even looking at A. And I don't think the audience that I'm talking to, maybe there's someone, I don't know, maybe in your future you might be an oil mogul or a mineralist of some sort and you're coming here for that. The details are not important because if you are that big of a fish swimming in that sea, you will have representation. You'll have an attorney taking you through every step of A. B is agricultural and animal husbandry. English is a funny language, especially when it's spoken in another country. Husbandry, I'm sure it's in the, it's there in the dictionary somewhere. But do we use the word husbandry in the way that maybe the Kenyan government does or is frequent? No. But what it definitely means, it means that you are in the process of growing stuff, and in husbandry, breeding animals. And you're going to need Form 25, a cover letter addressed to the Director of Immigration, the Director of Immigration Services, proof of land ownership, proof of capital availability, which is over $100,000 USD, relevant licenses. I presume the licenses you have applied for to even come here to be a mineralist in the first place. And agricultural or being in animal husbandry in the first place. You will have had to apply for licenses to even delve into that industry, no matter what your background is and no matter where you're from. With me? Then there is the business registration, which most people, if doing any type of business as an entrepreneur, sole proprietor, whatever the case might be, a registered company, and there are a number of categories, you're going to need a PIN number, KRA PIN number, that is obtained from the government of Kenya to register yourself as an entity or your business as an entity with them. You're going to need a business number. You're going to need a signed audit of your accounts. They want to know what's going on with your history and money, right? That's B, agriculture and animal husbandry. Then there's tax compliance once again, and then there's a non-refundable fee of 20,000 shillings, which is approximately about $150 to $155. Then there's C, a prescribed profession. They state exactly what those prescribed professions are. Either in the medical industry, obviously they mean doctors, lawyers, dentists, engineers, surveyors, architects, pharmacists, and accountants. Look, the people that run Kenya aren't stupid. They want people that are going to bring value to their country here. And these people definitely fit the category. They want you to come with a professional skill for a prescribed profession, which they prescribe, that you will immediately benefit the Republic of Kenya with. Then there's D, which is employee. And the basics here is you have to demonstrate as an employee that you are being employed by a Kenyan company, have a skill. Once again, the government is not stupid. You're not leapfrogging over everyone here to come here as an employee, to become employed by someone here for whatever reason. They need to know that you have a specific set of skills that is so unique that the employer needs you here, that they will benefit from, and consequently, the Republic of Kenya. That is the employee situation. You can't just be working, nothing wrong with any of these jobs though. You can't just be working in an average job and decide, I want to come here as an employee and apply for work permit D. You have to show why you're special. And guess what? The people that are hiring you have to explain it. So these are the requirements. You're going to have to, once again, fill out a form, Form 25. You need an employer letter, the people that are hiring you. Of course, you're going to need your passport, your immigration status, your academic certifications that show, why you more special than any one of us that have done exactly the same thing. Name of a Kenyan understudy. I guess they're referring to a place of, you're bringing particular skills here for a reason, to transfer them. Who is that? Who are they? In my case, to give you an example, I actually qualified for this being a cosmetologist. And being in sales so long and being able to teach it, I taught the psychology of sales as a salesman. And I did it in the insurance industry for years. That is an invaluable skill. I can tell you, I can take you in any industry at this point, and I would say humbly, and take you from a closing ratio of 1 out of 50 to a closing ratio to 1 to 2 out of 5 with the skills that I've acquired. So that's a valuable skill. And by the way, that is one of the things that I'm doing here. I'm mentoring people in sales. And if you want to be one of my mentees, reach out. We could do it in a number of ways. And I'm soon to start seminar classes once I get a group of them and people understanding that this guy is kind of deep. He's not just always smiling. The reason why I can smile and make it look easy is because I put in the hard work, as I said before. You're going to need letters from institutions that you received your certifications from. You're also going to need to be tax compliant. Now, for the rest of the list, which is the next one, is F. I'm reaching for that now, and so we can talk about it. So F is an application for permit F is in specific manufacturing. Okay? Now, most of us are going to come here with some type of idea as an entrepreneur because getting a job here doesn't make sense. You're literally going to go from being paid $50,000 to $150,000, whatever the case might be, to coming here in an extremely, by comparison, depressed economy. You're not going to make money at a job. You're going to show up as either a highly skilled individual that is already worked out that type of money, or you're going to literally earn less than minimum wage in any of the countries that you're coming from. That doesn't make any sense. So you're going to come here as a business person, and one of the options is manufacturing, your company. I'm working with a liquor company right now, one of my potential sponsors. and I would love to mention them, but we're right in the middle of working out our sponsorship deal for my 1,100. I know it went from 1,000 because it's growing. In 1 week, I got more people. I'm sorry if you guys, I thank you, as I said last time. So it is growing. So the 1,000 subscriber party went to the 1,100 subscriber party. And by the time we meet, if you're watching and you're going to show up, I'm hoping it's going to be more than that. You know what I mean? And it's starting to snowball, and I'm loving it, right? So this company is a wine manufacturing company. By the way, all of the ingredients, everything they do, even that their factory is here. So that's an example of a manufacturer, someone coming here. He will apply and qualify for work permit classification F, and it will allow him and his employees to stay in Kenya indefinitely, well, not indefinitely, until, you have to reapply for the permit on an annual basis from what I understand. But it will give them the ability to once they've received their alien card and maybe their visa and all that, then they now can not have to go to immigration like I will have to do on Monday and get another stamp for 30 days. They can stay here in compliance, in code with the Republic of Kenya, until they decide at that 7-year period, after, of course, they've been renewed annually, and at that 7-year period, they can then apply for permanent residency, and then that process takes a minute. But once you're obviously a permanent resident, you don't have to worry about getting a passport stamped every 3 months or a work permit, okay? So that's the perfect example. The things, I guess you're starting to get it right now. The process is starting to repeat. There's a form to fill out. There's your passport. There's the alien card that you're going to need. You're going to need tax compliance. You're going to need documents to show who you are, licenses for you to even operate in Kenya with your manufacturing company, on and on and on. And in this case, once again, you will have legal representation. This is not something you'll be doing on your own. An international attorney or one that is part of the sovereign nation and licensed by Kenya to do so. So that's the other classification. Then after F, do we skip? No, they go to classification G. And this one is a specific trade, business or consultancy, right? So a specific trade defined by the Republic of Kenya, business or consultancy, is issued to a person who intends to engage, whether alone or in partnership, in a specific trade, business, consultancy, or profession in Kenya, and who has obtained any license, registration, or other authority or permission that may be necessary for the purpose, has in his or her own right and at his or her own full and free disposition sufficient capital and other resources for the purpose. This is expecting that you're coming over with money, and it's not a little bit of money. They're not going to expect you to have over $100,000 in the bank or accessible funds for you to be able to use this classification, right? And what are the requirements? Okay, let's go down really quick. So we're looking at a Form 25. We're looking at 2 copies of a detailed signed cover letter from the employer or organization addressed to the Director of Immigration Services, copies of a valid national passport, of course the 2 pictures that come along with it. As I'm saying, these things are repeating. Current immigration status, if in the country, which means either you're alien, visa holder, so on and so forth. Documents in the foreign languages that should be translated into English. Copy of a previous permits or whatever the past that allowed you to come here. A duly filled form number 27 is another form. There's documented proof of capital to be invested, and that is over $100,000 USD, as I said before. A certificate of incorporation, which means you're a company, and that you can do here. That's getting your PIN number here. Then there's the memorandum of understanding. There's articles of association. There's shareholding certificate. which is CR12. That's something, and one of the things I have to obtain to get a bank account so I can take payments for my events, as I do promotional events through this platform, and that's one of the ways I create my livelihood. So if you come to my barbecue, I'm honestly earning a living here is what I'm telling you. And this is one of the processes I had to go through, which is filling out a form and getting a CR, so forth, document. And C stands for company here, and that's what the C stands for. So, and of course, your PIN number. I have one of those. I've applied for it, and I have one for my company. Then there's the signed current audited accounts, which means of your bank accounts, a list of Kenyans already employed with you, a clearance letter from the relevant institutions, 2 copies of bank statements, provided proof of offshore transactions that you've done previously in your career or with your company. Processing of fees for this is, once again, 20,000 shillings, roughly 100 to 155. When I say it like that is because the exchange rate can change, and also valid organization tax compliance certificate that shows that your organization or individual and or tax compliance and for your company, that wherever you're coming from or wherever you're doing business, that you are tax compliant. So you can't be tax negligent in your country and show up here. Then they're not going to allow it. They're not going to do it. Okay, so that is for what they would call classification G, which is a specific trade, business, or consultancy. The next one is I, approved religious activities, non-East African community. So what we're talking about, really quickly to define what they mean here, is that this permit is issued to a person who is a member of an institution registered under the Society Act and is engaged in missionary work, and whose activities are directly involved in preaching or conduct of the religious worship and rituals, or whose presence in Kenya is of benefit to the country. Once again, you have to have done something for them to even consider you. Why am I letting you into the country if you're not bringing something of value? That's just smart business, right? So figure out what that is for you. For me, it was a plethora of things, and I'm happy to say that the work I've done is paid off and it is valued here. I didn't come here to live off the lay of the land or my previous work. I came here to work and be of benefit to the Republic of Kenya and its great people that I've come to learn and love, right? Now, everything's not perfect. I'm always going to say that. Trust me, nothing is perfect. So me romancing this place is just simply choosing to do so, choosing the positive and the high road. And what are the requirements for this type of Class G religious? Obviously, you're going to have to fill out Form 25, copies of photos, passport, current immigration status, 2 copies of detailed and signed cover letter from the employer organization. I would presume the church organization that you're working, whether it be the Vatican, I don't know who it is, registration certificate from local religious society. So from here, you have to be accepted by the local religious society, proof of registration of sending religious society in your home country. So your place where you're doing your religious work has said, yes, we would love for you to go to Kenya and work. A letter from the sending religious society it is where you're from, and the information that goes along with that, a supporting letter from local umbrella religious body, i.e. a subcam, a Hindu, a council, a CQ, or any other organized local religious body where applicable. Documented proof of training. If you're a pastor, where? Where did you go to school? Where did you get your degree? So on and so forth. Academic certificates and proof of those. Details of actual place of work. Where did you preach your sermon at? Was it at Macedonia in Los Angeles where I got married? And by the pastor there at the time? Was it he? Where did you do your work? They want to know this. All right. A copy of previous permits, that means here. Copy of registration certificate of organization, a certificate of registration of your organization. We're talking a business entity, even though we're in the religious side of things. And also tax compliance, processing fee. And once again, that fee is 20,000, 20,000 KISS or 150 USD, right? Are you getting it? And also, that's basically it. And an issuance fee of 20,000 per year. You have to renew this. They're not going to stop taxing you, hitting your pocket once you get it. Every year, you're going to have to give them a renewal fee, and in this case, $150. Are you with me, man? I hope this is valuable, and I hope you're sticking through it because it's not an easy one, because information of this type takes some time to transfer. I mean, that's just how it is. Okay, so now we're moving on to K, which is an ordinary residence, and that's defined as this permit is issued to a person who is not less than 35 years of age and has in his her own right and is in full and in free disposition and assured annual income of not less than a prescribed amount. And this basically means you're retired and you have money coming in, which means you're going to benefit the country. And the minimum amount of money, I believe it is $24,000 a year. So if you're retired, military, whatever the case may be, the next parachute you're here, you're getting your pension, spousal, whatever the thing might be, and you are getting this money on a monthly basis and on a yearly basis, it adds up to over $24,000. You can then apply for the permit K. I'm retired, I'm good, I have good money coming in, I can come to Kenya, it's over $24,000. You qualify, and I'm happy for those that do, man. I'm so happy when I see people that have worked their butts off all their lives show up to Kenya and have a pension coming in or something like that from the military, and they can live without worries. That's not my case. I came to work because not only I love to work, and I'll work until the soles of my shoes are gone, no matter how much money I make. It's also because I need it for my livelihood. I don't have a lasting pension. Even though I have something coming in a number of years, even though I look younger than I am in my 50s, and in order for me to get any sort of pension, I'm going to have to be 60-something years old. So I got to work for at least another 10 years before I receive that money, right? So you're with me on this one. K, I love it, and I'm glad the country of Kenya has thought about it and implemented it for those to come here. Refugees. We're talking about Somalians, Ethiopians, on, and there are many others, but obviously those are the number one source, and this was designed for them. They can come to this country on Class M. It is a refugee, obviously funded by international money, the UN, and on and so forth, because it takes money to house refugees. So money is coming in for them. And at the same time, they can stay here and work legally with refugee Class M permit. And it's self-explanatory, right? Something is going on in your country and you have to go. In the cases of these other countries, we're talking about war, maybe famine, where thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are misplaced, and the world goes, no worries, we have a place for you to go. And Kenya is one of those places for the groups I talked about, and Nairobi is one of the main places they end up, right? So for you refugees that I see when I drink my coffee in the morning at the Ethiopian, by the way, some of the best coffee in the world. I'm not a coffee drinker, so every once in a while I do it. The reason why I drink their coffee because it is very non-invasive. I drink it, I get a little buzz, but I'm not so crazy. And then the next day or the time after, I'm not dropped. So I don't know what it is about this coffee, but it is truly, and there may be others, but it is some of the top best produced coffee in the world, comes out of East Africa, right here neighboring us in Ethiopia. All right, and then so moving along, we're making our way through this list, and Class N is a digital nomad. I kind of almost qualify for that. What am I doing? I'm doing digital work. You see how work pays off? I can almost kind of choose between these, you know what I'm saying, and try to figure out what works for me. And I'll tell you which one I landed on at the end of all of this, right? So the application permit is called Class N, and it is for the digital nomad. And it's the same thing. You fill out a bunch of forms, Form 25, and it is designed, let me just give you the description, and issued to persons whose works remotely within Kenya for a company registered outside of the country. The permit is issued for a period of 1 year to 2 years and is renewable to a foreigner who is not a prohibited immigrant and who work under an employment contract for a company registered outside of Kenya, is a shareholder or conducts business on behalf of a foreign company, and offers services as a self-employed to clients who are located in Kenya. So they understand, kinda, because why this is the digital hub. This is the, what you would call, what is San Francisco to the rest of the world? It is the Silicon Valley of Africa. Kenya truly is, right? So they understand this industry and they respect it, and they have provided for you to come here. So instead of going to, I don't know, Indonesia, Guam, other places, you could come here. And guess what? One of my fellow people that live in this building, we hit it off. And he is exactly that. Though he is a Kenyan by descent, he was born in another country and has come back home. His work as an analyst, specifically, he does what you call statistical analysis. And that he has brought with him back to Kenya. And now he qualifies as a digital nomad. Also, because his dad is a Kenyan, he also qualifies for the connection between, legacy, right? So he has a number of options in this case. He approached me and said, man, it's something about you on the elevator. We had a great talk. He went into my content, called me back immediately, and we've set up a visit to his farm in Victoria Lake, if I'm not mistaken, so I can start a documentary piece so I can help him bring, guess what, digital nomads to live right here in Kenya, in Victoria, where he's is starting to set up and grow and create an ecosystem for people to come live there who desire that type of ecosystem for their work, which means that in 1 hour flight, you can be in Nairobi, you can hang out, party, shop, do whatever you need to do, and go back there. And with the money you save, the flight between Nairobi and Victoria Lake would be laughable. You know what I mean? So it's something you can plan on doing in the future after I put it all together, and I can't wait to talk to you some guys about it. Now remember, anything that's going on here that you want connection with, feel free to reach out at ronraph@gmail.com, and I'll do the best I can to put you together or in the space. Even furthermore, if you need someone like me to help you do the process, that's what this is all about. Once again, I told you I came here to be gainfully employed, and I'm doing it the right way. All right? So that is digital nomad. I love that one, right? And one of the key positions of this thing is that there's an issuing fee of $1,000 per year. So you have to pay that. So it's not cheap, right? And then there's also the application fee, which is non-refundable, and it's USD. In this case, is $200. They figure you got the money, so they up the fees. You know what I mean? So anyway, and a letter of non-objection from the local embassy of your home country, which means they say, this guy can go. We're good with that. Bank statements, on and on. All the things you needed for the other processes for you to come here legally. Moving on to the next one, which is Class P, United Nations, a diplomat on missions, and intergovernmental organizations, international non-governmental organizations. Basically, you get it. You're working with your government in some capacity, and you are either sent here, want to come here. You have been tasked with coming to Kenya to do some diplomatic work of some sort or national work. The UN, for example, is one of them. And they have, and I know the buzz is all over the world about it, have relocated to Kenya. A lot of their offices and a lot of their agencies are now moving. Currently, as we speak, it's no longer something they're talking about, right here to Kenya. And they qualify for the Class P work permit Class Q, that's for professionals working for religious or charitable organizations, kind of similar to the one we talked about previously. Class R, which is our last one, is for East African Community Nationals, which means people in East Africa, they have somewhat of a, grouping where they all work together as countries, which is really nice, which is, it allows business people to work kind of seamlessly between these countries. So I can go from here to Uganda in less trouble than coming from somewhere else to Uganda because I'm here in Kenya, is kind of the idea of what this means, right? And the permit is issued to a person who is a citizen of a member state. As I told you before, the governments have got together and created member states of East Africa, the community of it, and is not a prohibited immigrant who intends to reside, engage in employment, activity, business, trade, or engage in any prescribed profession, and whose presence will be of benefit to Kenya. In other words, if you fit the other categories and then you go that route. This is specifically for this community and the people that are already here. And that was Class R, as I told you, A through R. Now, also what I would like you to do is take note, once again, of the ways to communicate with me. RonRaphael.com. You'll go into RonRaphael.com and you go to the section that says, boom, let's communicate with Ron. And it'll send me an email. All right? The other thing you can do is go over to the store, the cart, whatever they call that thing. I'm sorry what I mentioned it to be, but it's easy to figure out when you go to my site, RonRaphael.com. And you'll notice that there are other things there. There's also coaching. There's also my book, The Legacy of Learning. That book is for anyone that is somehow putting it all together to become of value to themselves and others, which means you're probably in late high school and all the way up to early to mid 30s, going through some certification, some sort of certification training, college degree, post-grad work. You are working on a skill. This thing sets you on that path and gives you my blueprint of hard work, getting to know yourself, committing, working on all of these skills, because you're going to need to be able to communicate. No matter how much you love or hate school, you're going to need to master some skills, the basic math skills, the basic ways to communicate, not only verbally, but also in written form. And you have to go through school, I'm sorry. And this program helps you do it so easily, it's crazy. How I did it, I came to this process because I was working in college, had a business, a bunch of stuff going on, and my grades started dropping, and I said, hey, this is not going to work. How do I maximize school and still get things done? And I came up with a system. It's not about school. It's about the game of school. Simple things that people would not have even thought about to make your experience in education one of the best and one of the most fruitful and efficient. That is my book, The Legacy of Learning. You'll also run into an ability to have me speak somewhere or a personal coaching scenario. All of these things are here, including the 30-day blueprint, which I believe I priced it, is discounted, but it's priced at somewhere around 20 some odd dollars. It's a simple form you print out, and currently it's around $10. So I'm not breaking the bank with any of this. You could print this out and follow along, as I said before, at RonRaphael.com. Once again, coming to you from one of the most fulfilling places and journeys that I've had in my entire life. I'm coming to you from Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, and specifically no longer Kilimani, 16 floors in the rare air of Nairobi. It was funny learning this yesterday. I am in Lavington, man. I am in Lavington. I'll see you guys next time. And remember to find your favorite place. And it actually is here. And take it with you everywhere you go. I catch you guys at my barbecue, and I'll list or post or, put the flyer somewhere in here or after I've spoken, so you can't say, well, I didn't know, why you didn't tell me, why am I not invited? You definitely are. See you then. My 1,100 subscribers moving on now to 1,200, 1,500. As I said, it's starting to snowball. Help me out. Tell a friend. See you next time. RonRaphael. RonRaphael.com. Peace.
Yo, man, I got a superstar team that's comprised of many beautiful people, including Mr. KS. This dude has so much airtime. Anyway, enough of him. Back to these two, which happens to be Hassan, my newly found partner, and our gorgeous, we're outside, international. Yes. Hey guys, I know someone accused me today of having too much fun. I'm guilty, goddamn. I can't help it. It's like trouble. It follows me. Fun follows me. Too much fun. I'm out, man. Enough of this.